Welcome to Improving Your Digital Ministry, Part 1 with Jasonarcega. We will cover what is digital ministry, the strategies being used, and how to make these strategies much more effective. The Part 2 session will cover the specific tools and how to use them effectively, even if you have almost no budget. Part 3 will be a look down the road for digital ministry. Jason will be available for a face-to-face consultation with time to answer your specific questions in detail.
Hi, I'm Jasonarcega. So glad you could join us. As you know, the pandemic sent everyone scrambling to figure out how to get their services viewable. While many tech-savvy churches figured out how to continue on social media and Zoom, I have personally met with pastors who ended up closing the churches and could not figure out the very basics of posting onto any platform. One pastor I worked with was simply writing out his sermons and then mailing it out to the congregation each week, snail mail. So after a few weeks, especially when it became obvious that these lockdowns would continue forever, I saw many churches finally get their weekly services onto social media. But even after a year, that remains the extent of their digital ministry. So I want to dive right in and share with you a brief clip of a sermon I preached just recently on March 7th, addressing a problem we're facing regarding digital ministry, and see if you are dealing with the same problem. It's pretty special. And so it gives me a chance to talk to pastors literally all over the world, chatting with them over email or Zooming with them. And we start to discover something really interesting lately. And it's the dynamic of attending church. And it's drastically changed. And sure, yes, there have been closures and restrictions, and you're not allowed to have this and that, and you can only have this many people, and you got to all do all these things. But something is happening as we've put all these things and had to survive this pandemic, and the church is reeling, trying to figure out what to do. The people are starting to get a little bit lazy, and they're liking it. And so we become, we're such consumers, right? And so it's so easy to go, wait, there's another online church here. Oh, I can check out this one real quick. And, at least when Wendy and I were shopping for a church, you'd have to drive there and attend. And so you could only do 52 churches in an entire year, right? Well, now you can do 52 churches in 52 minutes. And it's turned us into consumers looking for the best looking worship teams, the best music, the slickest preachers, the coolest productions. And it's easy to do just with clicking your mouse. And there's something very appealing about not having to get dressed, right? Just laying in bed. In fact, my daughter, I'm singing hi right now. She's in Texas right now, sitting in bed watching this service right now. I'm not ragging on you, Rachel. It's okay. But we get in a little bit of trouble when we just passively watch and think that's church, right? And churches putting on their online services get into trouble too, because they're not demanding anything of their congregation. They're begging you, just please tune in. All you have to do is just watch. We're dealing with a hybrid situation for most churches now at this point in time, which means you're partially open and also still streaming or posting services. And I'll be very curious to see if you face that same problem with your church attendance. In fact, I'm going to have a questionnaire you can fill out as you're watching this. The question we face boils down to this: is what we're doing for ministry right now actually working? How well is it working? Are you having a hard time even measuring its effectiveness? Has it had a positive or negative effect on your overall attendance? So in order to talk about this, I think we first need to get onto the same page of what digital ministry is. Because the concept of digital ministry is so brand new, I'm going to share what I think it is, with the understanding that it's going to change as technology changes, of course. So in its broadest sense, I see digital ministry as any area of ministry that is placed into a digital form. That could be something as simple as an email or as elaborate as a 3D virtual meeting space for worship. Now,
That may still be a little too broad for you. So think of it as anything that's used to convey the act of ministering to someone via technology. And I know that still covers a lot of various areas. So how do you evaluate this? The reason I ask this is because most churches think of streaming or posting their service as the be all and end all of all their forms of digital ministry. And it's not wrong to be streaming or posting, of course. We have to do it. But if this is all the church is doing, then why not simply have the congregation tune into the very best preachers in the world and the very best produced services in the world? You can do it right now. It's free. Another important question we need to consider is, can you even do real ministry through a digital media? Now, I believe you can. You see, what really matters is how we define ministry. Can you make these elements meaningful and effective when you're not even allowed to be physically present? So let's look at some typical elements of ministry that we often stream or post. And of course, this is not an exhaustive list. We have worship, preaching and teaching, prayer, sacred events like baptisms, weddings, funerals, dedications, celebrations, discipleship, and other special events, and the list can go on and on and on. So we'll just deal with these. In each of these elements, the church has made great strides in simply streaming these events. You can set up a camera anywhere. But now I think it's time to go deeper than that. In every element, we have to move away from simply making the viewer a mere observer and allow them to be a participant. This happens at the planning stage. In every event you plan, every element of worship, every piece of communication with the congregation, you must keep in mind all of those you are trying to reach digitally. In many cases, that group, that digital group, may actually be larger than those present physically. So, how do you plan for virtual participation? I'm going to give you 13 concrete examples, and you'll start to see a pattern emerge. All of these suggestions are in your notes, so don't forget to grab those before you leave this session. Number one, acknowledge the viewer from the stage. I can't emphasize that enough. It's really important, too, that it comes from the pastor sometimes. Turn to the camera, greet them during every stream. And if you know there are some people watching in far off places like a different state or a different country, then point that out. It makes your audience aware that the ministry is reaching far beyond the walls of this church. Then invite the viewers to say hi, comment, or leave a prayer request or some kind of acknowledgement that they're watching. It lets viewers know that they're cared about. Okay, number two, have a virtual host. So important. Every time you stream any event, you should have an online host or a pastor that chats with these people online, welcoming them, taking prayer requests, responding to comments, answering questions, delivering information, and just simply engaging the viewers. If it's on Facebook, understand that you never know who is viewing unless they make a comment. So there could be hundreds of people watching, but you have no idea who they are and no way to follow up with them. And there are ways to remedy that, but I'm going to save that for the second seminar. So you're going to have to come to that. All right. Number three, provide elements, resources, and supplies. For instance, Christmas, Good Friday, Ash Wednesday, Easter's coming up. Recently, our church provided bags with all the elements to create an Ash Wednesday service. Because of COVID, we steered away from the pastor trying to touch everyone and put the sign of the cross on their forehead and possibly spreading infection. You've probably seen the concept used for Christmas services where a package was made, people could pick up. It included a video of the service or a service, some fun things for the kids to do, a worship guide, hot chocolate, devotionals to be read, and so on. And we did the same thing for Ash Wednesday. Now, these bags are passed out a couple weeks before, and people could also swing by and pick them up at the church. Number four, create ways to participate in ministry from where they are. Okay, what's this mean? This follows the same concept of what I was just talking about in the third example, but this time it can be for outreach. For instance, a church I attended reached out to people by simply passing out bottles of water with an invitation to come to the church, or in this case, join online with the church website or a Facebook address or whatever. This can be done no matter where you live. People can be encouraged to go to their local park, go to an event, shopping mall, whatever, pass out water, to do the same outreach that your church is doing, because those kinds of materials do not have to cost a lot to do the same ministry wherever they are, even if it's in a different state or a different country. And then you got to do number 5, which is report and follow up. I cannot stress how important this is. For every event, create a way for people to share their victories, their testimonies, share what God did, or at least a picture or a video. And I'll go into detail how to do that in the second seminar, but people need to know if all the time, money, and resources and planning was put into an event was worth doing. It's also a way to give some sort of measurement of your ministry effectiveness. Number 6, invite participation with live polls, questionnaires, surveys, and again, details for how to do this I'm going to cover in seminar 2. But this allows the church to not only gather important data, but discover what people are thinking. And more importantly, it allows the viewers to engage more deeply. It shows what they think matters to your ministry. Number 7, invite responses from the pulpit. For instance, if you're doing an altar call, invite the viewers to respond using a digital connection card, or at least make a comment or private message on Facebook. Remember, if your stream is viewed on a later date, people may still want to respond. And if you need a way to follow up with them, that way they know because you've connected with them digitally. And that piece of information is so, so crucial to follow up and do real ministry. Number 8, provide a virtual safe space for coaching, counseling, and prayer. You can Skype, you can Zoom, you can use Stellar Online, which is the virtual conference platform that you're using now. It can be customized for a church environment, so rooms can be created for specific needs such as prayer meetings or counseling, teaching, breakout rooms, and so on. Much more customizable than Zoom, that's for sure. Your church can take virtual church meetings to a whole new level. It can look like your actual church in 3D. Again, I'm going to cover these kinds of tools in seminar 2. All right, number 9, if there's another lockdown, heaven forbid. During the lockdowns, our church created ways for the church to unify without actually gathering. We invited all church members to decorate a cross that we would display around our parking lot. And there would be guiding signs with prayer prompts. And so people could drive through the parking lot to pray and check out the crosses. And it got so popular, you had random people coming by, drivers pulling in. We had no idea who they were, UPS drivers, all sorts of random people participated. And it even made the local paper. It was a huge success. Another way our church unified was to start dealing with food insecurity. We built a food pantry that was accessible to anyone. You just drive up, open up the cupboard door, and take what you need. If you need food, or if you got food to spare, you drop it off. And we included an outdoor fridge as well, but it allowed the church to rally around a project. And this is something we keep going year round. And you feel like you're truly ministering to the community. And it's so important for the church to be able to feel like they are making a real difference, because they are. Number 10, utilize an interactive app. This gave us a way to interact with everyone in powerful ways during the whole crisis. And we still use it today. Everything we needed was contained in one package: streaming, questionnaires, polling, sermon notes, organizing and gathering volunteers, signing up for events, testimonies, sharing videos, pictures, and so much more. I'll save the details on how to do that in seminar 2. But here's an example of how I used our app in a sermon on March 7th.
Use your app. If you go to the notes And scroll to the bottom, and it says, please take our quick questionnaire. So you click on there, and there's a quick survey. It simply says, so where are you in relation to the vine? Are you a branch that's fallen down on the ground, withering away, maybe trying your best, trying your hardest to produce fruit or get stuff done, but nothing's working? Or are you a branch hanging on by a thread, needing to reconnect? Or are you a branch connected, but not doing much in the way of bearing fruit, so you need a lot of pruning? Or perhaps you're a branch that is pruned and bearing much fruit. Go ahead and click one of those, and then what's cool is that once you submit that answer, it'll take the poll, and then if you reopen that section, you'll see the percentages of how people answer. And then at the bottom, it says, please type your questions or comments or prayer requests. But on there, I want you to go ahead, and if this is you, you can type in there, I am committing to remain on the vine.
Number 11, ask for a response. In every announcement or email, invite people to confirm if they receive the information or comment on it or confirm that they're going to be there. It's so important to know that after you've sent out information and things that are crucial, to know, did anybody even receive it? Did anybody even respond? Are they going to be there? Invite them to comment, share a story, present a prayer request, something more than just spitting out information in a one-way direction. Number 12, create ways with every bulletin to be hyperlinked. So since the bulletin can be put on the phone, why not make it clickable? That allows ease of access to the phone numbers, email addresses, locations, directions, dates that they're supposed to remember, contact info, deeper resources to whatever's going on, website links. It's so crucial to take something that people are going to read, the church bulletin, and make it accessible and interactive. Number 13. Create ways to join, contribute, and not just take. Put the needs out there. People want to help. People want to pray. So create a prayer list, create a prayer warriors group, visitation team, meal preparers, handymen, people that are so willing to help, but they have no idea that there are needs out there or how to be helpful to other people. And that really starts to show the care and the love of the church to one another and to people in need. Now, did you notice an overall theme? We must find a way to show we care by interacting. Be interactive with everything. Whatever you're planning, think also about how you can pull a response out of people. It's a call to action that might be big, like someone's committing their life to Christ, or something small, like committing to attend an event or donate to a certain cause. Either way, we have to purposefully engage the audience in every way we can. Ultimately, this takes a push from leadership down to plan and construct services, outreaches, special events, concerts, seminars, small groups, and create a master plan from start to finish that includes your virtual audience. So what do I mean by that? For example, I knew I was preaching on February 28th of this year and also on March 7th. So in each day before the service, I pushed out a scripture of the day through the app. And these scriptures all had to do with the theme of the sermon. I also posted videos that followed the same theme. And it was kind of like preparing hearts to hear the message, sowing seeds. It got their minds thinking about the theme. I had our pastor do this during Advent season in December. We had brief Advent video messages that she would present, and then I would post those on Facebook as well as the app and push them out to people. And what started to happen was people caught on, oh, wait, there's something deeper in this whole Advent season that we can get involved in. a regular kind of Bible study throughout the week. But at that point, you have to plan ahead and find ways to prepare an audience to hear the message and participate in the message much more deeply. This is going to require planning from the top, pastors thinking about it, and then giving that information to their teams, that their communication teams that have got to get the message out there in a timely manner. So forward planning, pastors. All right. So now we're going to go live to cover your questions and details. But if you're watching this at a later time and have missed the live portion, I want you to know you can still contact me at jasonarcega@gmail.com or check out my website at digitalministrysolutions.com. I have a website or a Facebook page, and I'm happy to help. Please contact me.